Stefansky in Ramat Shemesh. Never puts people to sleep. Unbelievable how you share. Here he goes.
Says the Mishnah. What? Oh.
He's excited for it.
Technology is not his thing so much, but everything else is unbelievable.
There we go.
Okay.
We're waiting for some people.
What?
Oh! The Phil is here. Imanikan. Hakolkan. Fine. Let them trickle in. Says the Mishnah, Daf Lamed Zayin. It's a shame to come late when there's a Mishnah like this. So we have a halacha like this. You have an animal that's on the verge of death. And that's what we're going to be discussing today. If you shecht an animal and before you do a proper shechita, the animal dies, so it's not a good shechita. The animal has to die from the shechita, not on its own. Now the problem is as follows. If you have an animal that's on the verge of death, you see it's like it's about to die. Somebody just sent me, whoever wants to see, somebody just sent me the other day a video of a cow that had twins.
It's not on YouTube.
Not on YouTube. No, it was a private video. And it looked literally that the cow was on the verge of death, and I think that's why they shechted it real quickly in Gateshead, and they took out the twins, Ben Pekuas. Somebody wants to see what it looks like. And this cow basically didn't move, it wasn't in a box. They went over to its neck, they cut it, and the cow went like this with its leg. And that's what we're going to see here in this Mishnah, moving its leg this way, that way. So that's exactly today's sugya, that it's not. It's 100% mutter. The only issue with a cow that's on the verge of death is maybe you didn't shecht it. Maybe it died on its own right before you got the shechita. So how do you know that that's still alive, so to speak, when you shechted it? Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel oimer achet parkes biyad uberegel. So Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says you have to do two things. The animal has to do two things to make sure that the animal is still alive. It has to have some sort of reflex, a spasm after it dies, in its leg and in its hand, in the front and in the back. It's enough if Rashi explains that when after an animal is shechted, the animal breathes very heavily. It makes these noises if you ever to shechita, and the breathing causes the blood to spurt out heavily. So if there's a strong spritz of blood, that's a raya that it's alive. Omer Reb Shimon, hashoichet balaylo. If somebody shechts at night, now, are you allowed to shecht at night?
Yes.
So we had a Mishnah. What would he say?
Lights. If you have lights. You shouldn't.
Oh, that you shouldn't, and everybody's right here. It says in the Mishnah that you could, but it's mashmas only with the Eved, and the Gemara says because there's no lights. But if there are lights on, then it's 100% l'chatchila. So somebody shechted at night b'di'evid, meaning there were no lights. So, and what did he shecht? A mesukenes. This kind of animal that's on the verge of death. We just said that on the verge of death, you have to see with your own eyes if it moved its hand and its leg or if it spritz blood. So, but you couldn't see anything. So, l'mocher hishkim umotzak solim mileim dam. And he found the walls full of blood. What kind of walls? Rashi says, as the Gemara is going to explain, the walls of its neck. Not the walls of the shlachtois, the walls of the neck full of blood.
We're talking about the next morning.
The next morning, u'lemachar hishkim, you woke up in the morning, u'motzak solim mileim dam. Kshera. Why? Shezinko, because it's proved that the blood came out with force because it breathed heavily. Ukemidas Rebbe Eliezer, the Rebbe Eliezer says that's the siman. The siman is the blood. The siman is not so much. You don't have to see that the legs moved, because that he's never going to see in the morning unless he goes back to the video or whatever. But if you want to see in the morning, there's a raya from the blood. And Chachamim Moimrim and Chachamim Mechulgan Reb Shimon Gamliel Ash the parkes oy beyad oy beregel. You don't need both, the foreleg and the hind leg. You need one or the other.
There's no way to know because.
No. We're not talking about at night.
I'm saying so. If he did this at night, it wouldn't be.
Oh yeah, not Kemidas, right? This is Kemidas Rebbe Eliezer, says the Mishnah. Oy according to Chachamim, ad shetachashkesh biznava. If she moves its tail, that's a sign of life, and that's enough. A little bit of a movement of the tail. I guess it's not. So I'm not exactly sure how it works with reflexes and spasms. What's considered life? What's considered death? Because we said that you could kill an animal completely and it'll still move, and that's not really life. Maybe it is life. Don't know exactly. Echad behema dako, vechad behema gaso. What?
The dad naturally is not going to make those movements. It's only when you shecht it, then it's going to make those movements.
The only difference for us is if it's a mesukanis. If it's not a mesukanis, we don't care. These bdikas are only for an animal that's about to die.
I think the point is not that an animal, even after Shlita, moves normally. I think the point is that if it dies naturally, then it would actually be none of those things. It's the fact that it's a normal death from whatever,
It won't.
it just expire.
Died beforehand. If it died
It won't move at all.
These reflexes even.
It won't even have reflexes. Okay. Beseder. Echad be'im adako, ve'echad be'im agaso. These simanim of reflexes and all these simanim are going on all types of animals, not birds, but even be'im adako, which is sheep and goats, ve'echad be'im agaso, bulls, cows, the larger animals. Be'im adako sheposhta yodo v'lo yachzir. Thank you. If you have a smaller animal, a sheep, that just opened its hand like this, like a hayel, whatever you machshemoy, like this, is it open? Huh? That's what it's called?
No, the French have a new version called canal.
The canal? Okay. So if it goes from here to here, and that's what I said on the video, you see that clearly. That this para that's on the verge of death, it just right after Shechita went like that. That's it. And it was dead. But to go this way, that's a sign of life. Like only a live animal goes this way. To go this way is just death. It has nothing to do with being alive. It's just that's normal for a dying animal to make that motion. So that has nothing to do with life. That has everything to do with death. But coming back, bending a limb, that's a sign of life, and that would show that she's not a mesukenes, she wasn't on the verge, she didn't die during Shechita, because as we're going to see in the Gemara, on the verge of death is still kosher. Our whole problem is maybe she died right before Shechita, and you're eating an avela. What? Yeah, even the beginning of Shechita might have caused the death. As long as she died right before the end of Shechita, whatever that is, before the Roiv Simonim was shechted, then she's an avela. Obviously, all these Simonim are if you know that she's on the verge of death. But if she's a healthy cow, even if you don't have any Simonim, she didn't move anything, there's no reflexes, still kosher. Says the Gemara. How do I even know that I'm allowed to eat the meat of an animal that's on the verge of death? Says the Gemara, I have a better question. Who told you that it's even asr? Why are you asking me if it's mutter? You have to first prove to me that it's asr, that I should prove to you that it's mutter. Why should it be asr? It's alive, and you shechted it. What's the problem? Says the Gemara, in the pasuk it says, "These are the animals that you shall eat." So the Gemara plays with the word, so to speak, because the simple meaning of the pasuk is, "These are the animals that you eat." But the Gemara learns from it, "Chaya" means alive, not "hachaya." "Hachaya" means the animals, but "chaya" means to be alive. Chaya choil, v'she'ena chaya lo'toichal, v'hamisukenes eno chaya. This animal that's on the verge of death, since it's not going to live, so it's not included in the word chaya. It's not alive. Anything that's about to die pretty soon, then it's not alive. So we have basically a mefurish pasuk, zois hachaya, and it's not a joke. It's not like a play with words. It is a play with words, but the Gemara really learns from it that this is an isur for now. The havamina. This is the havamina. Zois hachaya shetoichlu. Basically, zois hachaya shetoichlu means you should eat this chaya. But I infer from that, I make a diuk, that you should eat a chaya, don't eat a dead animal. So what is that called? Lav haba mechlal asay is an asay. So it's not really a lav, this would be an asay. Because the Torah says, Zois chaya shetoichlu, you should eat this. But if it's dying, then don't eat it. Ememela, so this would be an asay.
You wouldn't get malchus.
Right, you wouldn't get malchus. It would be an isser. It's a lav haba mechlal asay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaroi. Okay.
I wish the pasuk would say eat a live animal, not to have to make it. play.
Yeah, but the Torah is not talking about animal. The Torah is talking about which animals can you eat. You could eat a deer, you could eat a this. So the real.
And all these animals should be alive. I think that will be.
But the pasuk is coming to say something else completely. If I'm trying to tell you that you should eat a deer and you could eat a giraffe and you could eat all these things, so what's my lashon? These are the animals that you could eat. It happens to be that we take that word afterwards and we make a diuk from it and we say, but if it's not alive, and really the word chaya means animal, but in Hebrew the word animal also means to be alive.
That's what it is. It's not its play on words. That's why it's called the chaya.
That's why it's called the chaya, right? Like everything else in Lashon Kodesh, it has a deeper meaning. It's an alive thing. A chaya is a live thing. Correct. Okay, very good. He's mecholagami. He says it's not a play on words. But what I mean to say, it's not the pashtus of the pasuk. Yeah. Says the Gemara, so now we have a pasuk that tells us what? That you cannot eat an animal that's on the verge of death. We know that you could eat an animal that's on the verge of death. But we're going through the steps here. So Zois Hachaya tells us that an animal on the verge of death you cannot eat. Says the Gemara, there's a mafurish pasuk that says that once an animal dies, you should not eat it. Michlal the Mesukenes Sharia. Then you have to just infer from that an animal that's on the verge of death you could eat, because the Torah says only an animal after it dies you shouldn't eat it. Because if you're telling me that this pasuk is legit, that this is a real diuk, that this is a real isser, if an animal is asur while it's still alive because it's on the verge of death, it's already asur as an avela. So of course it should be asur when after it dies. So then why in the world would the Torah tell me isser on avela? Okay? Because every nevela the Gemara understands right now, or 99% of nevelas, right before they die, they were on the verge of death. Right? How do you become a nevela? How do you die? You have to have 5 seconds beforehand that you were on the verge of dying. Right? Somebody chopped off its head, or chopped off his head is a terrible example, but let's say somebody stabbed it, and it was dying, so it was on the verge of death, and then it died. So right before it became a nevela, it was a mesukenes. And if a mesukenes is also to eat, so certainly the following step, which is death, would be also to eat, because how did that isser of mesukenes go away? Right? Let's say you have, just in lumdus, if you have an isser on an animal that's completely alive, it has a knife in its heart, and it's about to die, you say this is usher to eat. And then it died, where did that isser go? The isser that with the knife in it, how did that get off? You can never take away isser. So Mamela, it doesn't make sense, says the Gemara, that if the Torah is telling us that you can't eat an animal that's dead, doesn't make any sense that an animal that's not dead, a minute before it's dead, it would be usher. Otherwise the Torah wouldn't tell us that an animal that's dead is usher. It's obvious.
I'm struggling still with my previous question. Maybe we have a cloud that an animal that doesn't live for a year is a treifa.
Right.
This animal is going to die within the next.
But when?
We don't know that.
Okay, so yeah, no, the Gemara is going to talk about treif in a second. That's the next step. Says the Gemara, V'dilma hainu nevelo hainu mesukenes. So Rabbi say, in 10 seconds we're going to have these exact same words in a different context. So it's kedai to remember this. So ask the Gemara, V'dilma hainu nevela hainu mesukenes. Perhaps a nevela and mesukan, meaning on the verge of death, is one and the same. Just what? When it's mesukan, you get an asay. So the Torah told me that a Mesukon on the verge of death, you get an assay. Then the Torah said that once it dies, you get a lav. Meaning that anytime you eat a dead animal, you get a lav and an assay. You get two things. That's all the Torah is coming to say. It's one and the same. You're right. Mesukon on the verge of death and dead are the same. Just to tell me that there's two isurim here. An assay and a lois assay. Says Gemara le'sok adaitoch. That can't be. Why? It says mefurish in the Torah. V'chi yomos. The animal died. Not that it was on the verge of death. It literally died. Hanugeya b'nivlasa v'chulu v'chulu. But the Torah says that an nevela only happens after death. Don't tell me that a mesukanes, meaning on the verge of death, is the same thing as a nevela. When the Torah says specifically that a nevela after death. So, could a nevela be a mesukan? No, because the Torah says a nevela is only after death. What? Something in the picture?
Yeah, it's dirty there.
The lens.
No, it's from the lens.
Oh, not there.
Shkoyach. Gary the tech guy. Screen quality, v'chulu. Okay, lens quality. Says the Gemara. La'achar misu dekay rachmana nevela mechayim lo yikri nevela. So now, what do we have? Now at this point of the Gemara is saying that nevela is only after death. Meaning that before Misa, it's mutter. So right now we're at mutter. Before death is mutter, because if before death is asr, it's nevela, and I don't need nevela. Why is the Torah telling me nevela? The fact that the Torah tells me a concept of nevela, so I know that before Misa is mutter. Ask the Gemara. Check this out. The Gemara says, word for word, what the Gemara just asked before, and the Gemara already answered. The Gemara a second ago asked, literally, what's the words? Maybe the same. And memela what? You get an asay and a lois asay. And that the Gemara said it cannot be the same because nevela says mefurish in the pasuk that it died. Now all of a sudden the Gemara wakes up and says, maybe they're the same. Now the sound is no good. The sound is a little dirty. All right. It's the same question. So what is the question? Obviously it's a different question. The Gemara continues, Mechayim ba'aseh lachar misa belav. So now what the Gemara is asking, and thank you Rashi for the explanation.
That means it's usher in both cases.
Hold on. Not really. It means like this. The Gemara is asking that maybe nevela and musukenes are one and the same. But you asked me that the Torah says that a nevela died. So I'm going to tell you you're right. A nevela died. It's a different, don't fall asleep on me. It's a different stage of nevela. Stage number one is when the animal is alive, it's a nevela, the animal is alive, and you get an assay. Stage number two is that the animal died, it's still a nevela, died, and then you add a lav to it. Before the Gemara was asking that when it's alive, you should have a lav and assay. And when it dies, it should have a lav and assay. In other words, before it died and after it died, it's all one and the same. Now the Gemara is asking, no. A nevela is a continuation of a mesukanes. It's one and the same, but they're different stages. Before it dies, there's only an assay. After it dies, there's an assay and a lois assay. Says the Gemara, so you're right. So maybe it's asr. Maybe, excuse me, maybe an animal before it dies is asr. How do you know, b'chlal, that I'm allowed to eat an animal that's on the verge of death? That I'm allowed to run and shecht it like in the video? You see the animal's about to die, you want to make sure, like we had the Gemara, remember all the way in the beginning of Masechta, we had that it's a good riddle. Where's a case that if you have a avodah zarah knife, usually an avodah zarah knife, you're allowed to use for shchita. Why? Because shchita is mekalkel, says the Gemara. You ruin, and you're allowed to use it. So where do you have a case that you're not allowed to use the knife for shchita? This case, misukanes, where you literally have 2 seconds to shech this animal before Yitzias Neshama, and you want to make it kosher, so you grab your avodah zarah knife and you shecht it. Now the avodah zarah knife wasn't a mekalkel, it's a metaket. Okay, so we know the maskana of the Gemara that Mesukanis is mutter. You're allowed to shecht it right away and eat it. Is it glad kosher? Are you allowed to put a stempel on it? So we're going to see on Amud Beis that Yecheskel says, I never ate Mesukanis meat. But l'chayra, it's glad kosher because the Shulchan Aruch brings it's only for big tzaddikim and only from Goyish animals, but not from Jewish animals. These Jewish animals, there's absolutely no chumrah not to eat mesukanis. Fine. Says the Gemara. So how do I know that's mutter? At this point, we're stuck. We think maybe mesukanis and avela are one of the same. And the Mesukanis has a nasei, and the Nevela is right after it dies. It's a continuation of Mesukanis, and it's a nasei and a lois nasei. Elo, so how do I know it's mutter? Now we're going to treifa. The Torah says you cannot eat a treifa. What is a treifa? Treifa is an animal. There's 16 treifas, like we mentioned in the Mishnah before, in Eli treifas. By the way, unfortunately, or fortunately for you, I am probably going to be in America next week. Exactly when we start, four sheer days. Exactly when we start Elu Treifas.
A year from today, by the way.
Yes.
Siyum Hashas.
A year from today is Siyum Hashas. Wow. Tremendous. Okay, we could all hop around and learn the other 6 years worth and be part of the big thing. A year from today is Siyum Hashas. So anyways, I don't have a ticket yet, but I'm assuming I'm going to get one soon, and I'm going to fly on Sunday, hopefully after Shir. What?
Less than a year.
Yesterday was 365 days. Yesterday was
a
video from the Buddha. 365 days to Siyum Hashas.
So I'm not going to be here.
Party, not to the day you finish.
So Menachem Mateh graciously volunteered to say the Shir again, even though he's extremely busy and tied up with his children because of his brand new baby. He did threaten that there might be some sort of situation, but then we'll have to get Noam. We'll have to force Noam. He's going to be back, Be'ezer Hashem. There's a lot of show and tell, and he promised to
not do it.
How many minutes will
Throughout
this
the
show?
Shem,
there's no 20 minutes shiurim in Eila Treifas. Fine, but anyways, what's a treifa? Treifa is an animal that has some sort of missing limb. A hole in its heart, a physical limb missing, its foreleg missing, whatever it is. Something missing. So the Torah says what? Not an imgam. It has to be one of the 18 mumim. Now, typically, these mumim tell us that this animal is not going to live more than a year. So this is a dead animal walking. It's a treifa. From the fact that the Torah says, now we're going with treifa. From the fact that the Torah says that a treifa is asur, so this animal that's on the verge of dying is mutter. Why? Because if you have a meaning to say that an animal on the verge of dying is also asur, if this animal is whole, it doesn't have any holes in its body, all its limbs are intact, just it's on the verge of dying, it's 98 years old, it's on the verge of dying, you say that it's asur, treifim mabaya. So an animal that's missing a limb, certainly it should be asur. So then why does the Torah talk about treifa? If a mesukanis is asur while it's still alive, then certainly treifa. Says the Gemara, the same question we had on Nevela, v'dilma hainu treifa hainu mesukanis. Maybe they're one and the same. You're right. It's not that the Torah is saying a different chiddush in treifa. The Torah is saying, when the Torah talks about treifa, the Torah is talking about a mesukanis. V'laver olav b'asei v'loisasei. So there will be two isurim. Isur number one is an asei from this pasuk, zois hachaya, and isur number two is don't eat a treifa. One is an asei and one is a loisasei. Imkein nevela because rachmana lamali. Then why do I need the third thing called a nevela? Uma mechaim koyalo belavasei lachamisa mebaya. So if I'm over on a lav and I say when the animal's alive because it's a treifa, when it's a treifa, I'm chayiv, this animal's completely usher to me. Why? Because it's a mesukun and it's a treifa, I get a asay and a lois asay. So then why in the world does the Torah say that an avela is usher? Of course an avela is usher. An avela is dead. So what do you see from here? Right. So what do you see from here? The Mesukenes is mutter. Obviously, Mesuken is mutter. Says the Gemara, maybe all three are the same. Meaning, before it dies, then it's just a treifa and a mesukenes. After it dies, it's an avela. But bekitzer, you get two lavim and an asay. So maybe a mesuken is aser to eat. And how do I know that a mesuken is mutter to eat? Ela mahacha. Says in the pasuk, v'chelev nevela v'chelev treifa yasel chol malacha. If you guys can't see the pasuk in your Gemara, I printed it out for you in color. Why? Because we're going to need it a little bit on Amud Beis, and it's not printed. But also, it's color coordinated. It says v'chelev nevela v'chelev treifa. You see, it says twice v'chelev, and we have an nevela and treifa, and then we have two halachas in this pasuk. What does the pasuk tell us? Two things. A very interesting halacha. You have an avela, you're allowed to use the chelev, and the chelev is not tamei. That's a very interesting halacha. The whole animal is tamei. Yosel l'chol malacha. I could use the chelev, no problem. There's no tumah. The other halacha is don't eat it. Now the big question is, what do you mean don't eat it? You're talking about an avela. You're talking about treifa, but you're also talking about the chelev. The chelev, when was the chelev created? When is there isser on the chelev? From the minute the animal is born. So now you want to take this isser of chelev and make another isser on top of it. You want to add the isser of nevela and treifa to it, but already had an isser of chelev before. That's called isser chalal isser. Its entire life you were not allowed to eat the chelev because the chelev is in the body, and the Torah says don't eat chelev. That's another pasuk. Don't eat chelev. And then when it died, you want to take that piece of chelev, that chunk of fat, and say, not only do you have the isser of chelev on it, and it had its entire life, but now I'm going to add another isser called dead animal to it. You can't add an isser on the top of an isser. Comes the pasuk and says you could.
The issue of eating chelev is not when the animal is born. It's when the
But when was the chelev created? The treifa was created, the nevela was created after it died, and the chelev was created beforehand. On the same piece of fat, it had an isser before. And by the way, it's not true. What if you took it out, you'd have Ever Menachai, let's say. But you'd be over on chelev also. I don't know which one comes first. Maybe the chelev will come first. Before, it has nothing to do with shchita.
Even if you do shchita, it's also chelev.
He's trying to say that the isser chelev happened when the shchita. You only have the... He's saying you only have the chelev once it's shechted. I'm telling him no. You could grab it out of the animal. You cut open a hole and you can take it, and nothing to do with the shchita. It's there. The chelev is always there. So what is the Torah coming to tell us? The Torah is coming to tell us the chiddush that isur chal isur in this case. That I have two isur in my one piece. That is no tumah. That is another isur. Why in the world did the Torah say this halacha? If I read it, the Torah said, it's a mafurish pasuk that you're not allowed to eat chelev. So why does the Torah say another isur? You have an isur nevela, v'yachal isur chelev. You have isur treifa, v'yachal al isur chelev. Even though typically I say en isur chal isur, over here I do say daf lamed zayin the base. Now says the Gemara, and if you're telling me, like you think, that treifa is the same thing as mesukah, and on the verge of death is the same thing, so since we have in this pasuk two halachas, the halacha of nevela and achila is completely not necessary. Why? Because once I say the halacha that you're not allowed to eat this chelev when it's a treifa, so then of course when it's an avela, it's completely extra. It makes no sense for the Torah to say, oh, don't eat chelev after it's dead. In the same pasuk that you can't eat chelev when it's alive, when it's a treifa. What?
Yeah.
Yeah? You'll have to tell us. I don't know. I have no idea. you're not really saving words the way the Gemara is asking the question. But I think the Gemara is just saying that the pasuk is not so meduyak. The pasuk should be a lot clearer. The pasuk should say the Isser Achila is on Treifa and the Isser Tumah is on Nevela. Where's the biggest chiddush? That there's no tumah when the animal is dead. Not to tell me that there's no tumah when the animal is alive. There is no tumah when the animal is alive, right? Animals are not tumah unless it's a goyla in the cave, right? Or whatever. We had another case. I forgot what the other case was. Avodah zarah, maybe. It is tameh, but I'm saying no. The biggest chiddush. Oh, chaylev has no tumah. That's the chiddush in the Torah. There is no tumah by chaylev. And the story. It's a special. This part of the animal has no tumah. You can use it for whatever you want. Why? I have no idea. There's a question from this pasuk. I can use it for any malacha. I don't have to worry about tumah. Now, where is the chiddush in that? The chiddush in that if the animal is dead, not if the animal is alive in a treifa. Where is the chiddush that I shouldn't need it? The chiddush is in treifa, not when it's dead. So ask the Gemara, split the pasuk in two. Say that a treifa you can't eat, and memela I'll know for sure that if it's dead I can't eat, and say that a nevela you can use for malacha, and then I'll know for sure that a treifa I can use for malacha. It's a lot clearer like that. Not that I'm gaining words. And I would say, if this treifa is there while it's still alive, meaning a mesukenes, so certainly after it dies, but the fact that the Torah didn't write it the way you wanted to write it, so then you have to come to the assumption that treifa is not a mesuken. What is treifa? Treifa is not because it's on the verge of death. Treifa is because it's missing a limb. It has nothing to do with being mesuken. And mesuken what? Is mutter. Maybe that's not such a good deal. You asked me a question why it says so why did the Torah write it like this? There is a case, asked Rav Ashi, that an animal dies without having verge of death. It died instantaneously. In our days, it gets shot in the head. I was there. I saw how the goyim shecht. I don't know if I mentioned. You can't even imagine how quick it is. The second you hear the bullet, that's how quick the animal's dead. It doesn't move. It just drops, eyes open. There's zero movement. Nothing. Lights out. Because literally, lights out. You get rid of the electricity, whatever. Dead. So unless you go with one of those high-speed cameras, it's dead the second they got shot. So the Gemara says in those days they had something else called you chopped it in half. Even if the animal, Rashi says, is walking around, it's dead. It's a dead walking animal, like a chicken without a head. Nobody has a shaila that a chicken without a head is alive. A chicken without a head is dead for all shitas. It's walking. No, those are reflexes, spasm. Same thing with an animal. Says the Gemara, no. But if you use your slow motion camera, speed of light, slow motion camera, it's impossible because if you slow it down frame by frame, you'll see that the bullet entered the skull and pierced the brain, and at that millisecond that it pierced the brain, before the lights went out, it's already misukken. If you were able to stop the bullet right there, this animal is going to have major issues. It might not be dead, but it's on the verge of death. So memela, yes, you don't see it, and everything happens so fast. But in terms of halacha, there was a moment, a millionth of a second, where the animal was on the verge of death and not dead. It wasn't alive because the bullet already went through, so it's on the verge, and then it died.
It makes more sense to say that when you're splitting an animal. It's a slower process.
Yeah, but everything has frames. Everything has milliseconds.
You're right.
Everything is especially with today's cameras, you could literally see boom, 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 and then you see the bullet exiting. I mean, you could see everything. So our time goes fast, but if you slow it down, by Kosh Baruch Hu, there's no time, there's no before, you see it happening. You see bullet coming in, verge of death, dead. Alive, verge, it's 3 stages. It's not dead. There was something that happened before dead. That's what the Gemara is saying. Why do you need the 2 red words, v'chelev? Just say, v'chelev, nevela, utrefa. Very good. There's a complete extra word here in this pasuk. V'chelev. Why do this extra word? Chelev lamal. Zohi, this treifa, she'ein chelba cholog mipsara. V'yeshcha acheres shechelba cholog mipsara. You have an animal that it's chelev and it's basar. One is mutter and one is asr. The chelev is asr and the bas is mutter. Where? A mesukanes. The Torah is telling you that a mesukan is mutter. How do I know a mesukan is mutter? From this pasuk. Because I have extra word chelev, that extra word tells me dafka this treifa where the meat and the chelev are in the same isser. They're both asr. The meat of a treifa is asr and the chelev is asr. Whereas there's another animal called a mesukan that the meat is mutter and the chelev is asr. So I see from this pasuk that a mesukan and the meat is mutter. But I need a pasuk to tell me that the mesukan and the meat is mutter. Very interesting. This is a pasuk in Yecheskel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Yecheskel, because Klal Yisrael sinned, I want you to do a bunch of very interesting things. One of them is, and these are basically Yisurim. One of them is, I want you to lay on your left side for 390 days. And then flip over to your right side for 40 days. So I guess it's tremendous Yisurim. You cannot lay on your right back, nothing. Just on one side. Yeah, flip people over. You'll have bed wounds, whatever it's called. It'll be an issue. 390 days. The other thing I want you to do is, I want you to make this barley bread and bake it in the oven that's fueled by human feces. Says Yecheskel, we're buying a shalaylam, literally. I'm a tzaddik. Why are you doing this to me? So what does he say? What's his time? V'oymar, aha adinoi Elohim, hinei nafshi lo mutuma. I don't have any tumah. Now he's a kohen, so of course he doesn't have tumah. If he has tumah, if he could cause himself tumah, that's a isser d'oraisa. So what is he telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Like everything else in Yecheskel, it's all hard to understand. It's not as simple as you think. Cryptic. Unevelo treifa lo yechalti. Shalom aleichem. He's Yecheskel. He's telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I never ate a nevela. And guess what? Nobody in Bet Shemesh ever ate a nevela. So what's the big gadlus? That's why he shouldn't have to do what he's doing. Even when I was young, until this very day. This is Yecheskel Hanavi. V'lo ba befi besar pigul. I never ate pigul. Again, it's the Raisa. Hine nafshi, what?
When Yecheskel lived, there was no people. He was,
Why?
he was after by, so he shouldn't be Hashem.
Was he?
He was alive.
But it wasn't during Bayis Rishon. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Regardless, it doesn't matter because we're not talking about real pigul here. Hine nafshi loi mituma'a shelo hirarti bayoim lavoy lidei tuma belaylo. So there's an isser to be mahar during the day, have bad thoughts, so that your guf doesn't become tamei at night. So tuma is not referring to tuma of a sheretz; it's talking about tumas keri. Now Tosfos asks a kasha, what's the big deal on the seed? Also, we learned in Avodah Zarah that v'nishmartem mikol davara al yahar bayoim shemayovi dei tuma belaylo is an isser d'oraisa to have bad thoughts during the day. So what's Yecheskel saying? Again, it's the same question. Why are you so special? So it's Issa Deraisa. So you are not even in Issa Deraisa. Says Tosfos, very interesting. You should look into Tosfos. The bottom line here. A person cannot save himself from these 3 things. Hiru Avera, that's what we're discussing. Veloshin Hara, unfortunately. V'i'un Tefillah. But Tosfos says, you're right, it's Issa Deraisa. But everybody's over on it. And Yecheskel is saying, and I am different than everybody else. I wasn't over on that Issa Deraisa that everybody's over. Very interesting Tosfos. Says the Gemara.
Why didn't say Lashon Hara?
What?
Why didn't say?
Oh, you mean how come he didn't say in the? Maybe no. It could be. That's. I think it might be easier, maybe not to speak Lashon Hara. Here is like a thought comes in, like to get it out.
They don't speak Lashon Hara.
I don't know.
That they don't need to say.
Right. I mean, the Chavetz Chaim didn't speak Lashon Hara, so I think the Yecheskel also wasn't over. I don't know. Says the Gemara, "Unavelu trevelo yechalti min urai." What does it mean? And this is our sugya. What does it mean? I didn't need an avelu treifa shlechalti besar kois moilam. Kois means that they tell the guy shecht. Quickly run, shecht this animal. It's about to die. So, what is he saying? If it's also for the whole world, then of course he didn't need it. Elamai, you see from here that it's mutter for the whole world, and Yecheskel's telling the Rebbe, look, I'm a big tzaddik, I did something that nobody else does. I don't need basar, kois. A basar that's on the verge of dying. Basar pigul, what does it mean?
What's a chumrah? There's nothing wrong with it.
It's a chumrah. We'll see. Look.
Standing on his head. Who cares? What's the meaning?
Okay, there is a little bit of a infant tzaddikim. What?
And one pasuk earlier says, "Nevelu treifa lo yechalti." It's also to everybody. Why? He's not saying I'm better than everybody else.
No, but Nevelu treifa doesn't mean Nevelu treifa. It means kois. That's exactly what the Gemara is saying. It's this animal that we're talking about on the verge of dying. It's not a real nevela. It's not a real treifa. It's fake nevela. Kois. And then it says, I didn't eat basar pigul. It doesn't mean literally pigul. Shleichalti mibehema. Remember this maisa that I just said. Mibehema shahir bechacham. Here's the concept. You can't eat from a behema. This is the story that I called Reb Nisim Karel. It's a chicken. It's right here. I didn't eat from if you ask a chacham, what's the halacha in this and this animal? And he tells you it's 100% fine. The fact that you ate, and the Marshas is very interesting here. He says, why is it called pigul? Because in the mind of the owner of the animal, when he comes for halacha, he thinks to himself, oh, this animal's treif. So it's called pigul. He has a machshava that it's no good, but it's really good. And he says, and it says Yecheskel, I never ate from it. So you're going to ask me, what's the big issue? I don't know. There's some sort of, this is brought down in Shulchan Aruch, that it's not considered glat. This is not considered glat if it's a beim shayir b'chacham. Let's just go weiter.
Even if you said 100%.
Yeah, even 100%. But it has to be a question that's normal, not the question I asked from Nisim. It has to be a question that looks, it has a sircha. What is this a good sircha or not? He's a kohen. You have to take special matanos, right? Lechi, the keva, zroya lechi v'lechaim, right? So these things that you give the kohen, he didn't take, but he's a kohen himself. He doesn't have to take. Nevertheless, he's makbid on it. If you say that you're allowed to eat meat that's on the verge of death, then it makes a lot of sense. But I was makbid on it. Eliam says siro, but if it's also to everybody, my rebusay the Yecheskel. What is the big chiddush? Let's just do a few lines here. What is a mesukan? If you try to stand up the animal and it falls right back down, it's a mesukan. Even if it cannot stand up, but it's so strong that it could chew on wood, it's still a mesukanes because it can't stand up. Run by Yecheskel Omar Afilo Yecheles Koyros, says Rashi, he's not mechulik. He just adds. It means even if he could chew beams, even if he could chew metal, it doesn't matter. He's saying, don't tell me wood, anything. Chewing is not a raya that it's not on the verge of death. The raya is if it cannot stand, then it's the verge of death. And Besura Masna Hacha, that's how they said it in Surah, but in Bipimudisa Masna Hachi, the same thing. Echidam Yisukanes, on Rav Yudam Rav, just over his, Rav himself said, if it cannot stand up, and even if it could chew, it's still considered a Mesukanes. Run by Yecheskel Amar, Afilu, Oicheles, Koiros, it doesn't matter. Chewing is not a sign of life, it's standing up. Have a wonderful day. By Avi Kamiansky.
8:30, not 9.